day and welcome to the news review on Unilag TV. The evolution of broadcasting since its inception in the early 90s has been remarkable. Initially starting with radio, followed by the widespread adoption of television, media consumption underwent a transformation, ushering in a new era of mass communication. As time passed, broadcasting diversified to incorporate various forms of technology like cable TV, satellite TV, and online streaming platforms. Even today, broadcasting remains a significant influence in shaping public perception, providing entertainment, and keeping people informed about current events. On Monday, we marked World Radio Day with the theme Radio and Peace. Today, we will be discussing the role of broadcast media in advancing peace. And in order to help us understand the significance of broadcasting, we are joined today by the President, Youth Orientation for Development, whom you'll meet right after this break. My name is Vina Peters. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're just joining, it's still the news review on Unilag TV, and feel free to follow us across all our social media platforms at Unilag on TV. Before I went on a break, I said we will be discussing the role of broadcast media in advancing peace, and I have Ambassador Emmanuel Ejiogu, the President of Youth Orientation Development, a UNESCO NGO. Good to have you, Ambassador.
Thank you for having me.
And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, so how has broadcast media played a role in promoting peace and understanding among different communities?
The broadcasting media is an important player in the promotion of peace. The informations that are being given out to the public, the music through broadcasting, other kind of news, everything should be, fostering peace. In broadcasting, we shouldn't incite anything that is for violence. The broadcasters should, in their delivery of their broadcast should ensure that all the content of their broadcast should all be geared towards peace and corporate, peaceful coexistence among communities and even in the nation at large.
Okay, so please give us some examples of broadcast media being used as a tool for conflict resolution and peace building.
We have the radio, we have the TV. Presently, as technology evolves, we have also the social media. All of these are mediums where we can use in passing on a peace to the populace.
Okay, and let's talk about what is it called? Let's talk about peace, and let's talk about radio. Okay, so how does radio promote peace to the larger society? Since we celebrated World Peace Day or World Radio Day on May.
Okay. All right. Today, as we celebrate World Radio Day, radio, like if we can outline the importance of it, number one, importance of radio towards peace building is that through radio we can have a real time information, and that would go a long way in, broadcasting peace to even the grassroots. Radio is one of the device that, with technology now in almost every home, we can lay hold on radio. So research have shown that over 50 billion people listen to radio every day. And with this, if we can stop beating the drums of war, we can use the tool of radio to pass on messages of peace. So this is one why the UNESCO organization is celebrating today radio and peace, because it's one veritable tool to foster peace as we live together.
Okay. You only mentioned radio. Now let's talk about broadcasting in general. Okay, so how does, or in what ways have the unbiased coverage of broadcast contributed in advancing peace?
Okay. Broadcasting in general, if we must foster peace through broadcasting, the contents of our news should not be, a conflict inciting. The content of our news when broadcasting, even in the entertainment, we should ensure that everything put together is, towards peace. I think if we must just say this, there are some broadcasting that, if it would incite any conflict, should not be aired. So we should ensure that before we get the news out there, it must be a news that should get the coexistence of peaceful coexistence of one another.
Okay, now in that regard, you know that there are technologies already in place, and people already do a whole lot of self-media broadcast. So, is there a way of curbing such spread?
Okay, I think with the advent of the social media, people releases some kind of news into the air, and I think the government over the years have been frowning at this. There was even a time there was a law on hate speech. This will not make for peace. So and that is why the government had to come, and they came up with a law that whoever that is, found in any way, inciting some kind of speeches of violence, will be, held. So I think in broadcasting, whether by the social media, whether by the other mediums, this, the content had to be checked, and to be, we should be sure that it is not such that will incite violence.
Okay, so talk to us about that. How far has government been able to go through in being able to curb such spread of violence? Has there been any culprit?
Okay, I think when the government came up with the the law against the hate speech and some other speeches. So in fact, I think there have been caution among the broadcasters.
Okay.
I wouldn't say, but I'm sure that there have been people who have been, held on such offenses, and I think how it were those years when everybody can just go to the air and put whatever thing, I see a good reduction on that.
Okay. Still on this, because I actually do know that some media houses, actually, some of them rely on some blogs on the release of, let's say, some of their news
Yes.
content in order for them to publish their own bulletin. All right. So, what can be done to ensure that broadcast media plays a more active role in advancing peace and reducing conflict around the world?
Okay, on that, I would just want to say this to broadcasters that before they pick any news, they should do a due diligence, they should do a thorough investigation. I mean, to be sure that whatever they are publishing or they are broadcasting is true. Because most times a whole lot of things go into the news, and whereby you just pick because you had or because it was, you got it from a source. That source should be investigated. We should be sure that the news you are releasing into the air is true. So in trying to kind of be sure that whatever information you give out is very true of what you are publishing or you are broadcasting, we should do a thorough investigation before it's been released.
Okay. It's still the news review on UNILAG TV. We'll go on a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're still talking about the role of broadcast media in advancing peace, and I still have our president of the Youth Orientation Development, Mr. Emmanuel Ejiogo. He is an ambassador of UNESCO. So it's good to still have you on the show, and I want us to talk about this upcoming election. Okay, so how does the broadcast media, or how can broadcast media help in promoting peace? Because we know that already there's a whole lot of violence going on and the election has not even come to bear. So what can broadcast do? What can the media do in order to, forestall what is happening in our country presently as it relates to election?
Okay. We are counting days and just few weeks into the general election, and as we know that the tension is very, very high. I want to quote from my mentor, whom I met when I was during my youth service day. I served under him in the person of Ambassador Segun Olushola of blessed memory. He happens to be the first African broadcaster. Yes, and I served under him in an organization he founded, African Refugees Foundation. And each time we have an event and he's speaking on refugees issues, the ambassador will hold his audience bound by letting them know that refugees do not drop from the sky. Is an action of maybe leaders that are not doing what they're supposed to do. It's a product of conflicts. It's a product of maybe a kind of a product of not having a good governance. The coup issues have led to refugees. Now we are preparing for an election. If it's not properly handled, it could lead to we having conflict, and that leads to having issues of refugees. Now he in his point was just trying to let us know that if we would want to ensure peace in election, the broadcasters have a major role to play in the information they let out, the news they releases. It should be such that shouldn't in any way incite any kind of violence, because he would always say, if we in Nigeria have an issue of refugee, in fact, God forbid, that the population in Munshi alone, when they march towards the border of Benin Republic, in fact, the Benin will shut their border because they can, or just the population, they can drive the people in Benin Republic out of their region. So the point he was trying to he's trying to make is that in the forthcoming election, we should make sure that as broadcasters we releases news that makes for peace and not for violence. Even if some are being paid, because we have some broadcasters that would want to maybe support a particular political group. That shouldn't make that particular broadcaster to start inciting some kind of information or releasing information that will cause a chaos, and then would lead to violence. So I think the broadcasting industry have a major role to play if we must have a peaceful election come 2023, which we are in now.
Okay, so let's talk about the government. How do you think the government and international organizations can support the role of broadcast media in advancing peace and stability?
Well, the government, they are doing their best, and the international organization, they are also doing the best that they can do. Recently, I had a courtesy call on the ambassador of Slovakia, and in the visit, he was trying to let me know how interested the European Union are in fostering peace in this election. I think he was letting me know also that, in fact, all their meetings have just been to see that the election 2023 goes on peacefully well. It was like also noting that Nigeria is playing a very wonderful role, not only in Africa but in the whole world. So the government, I'm sure they are doing the best they can. The international organization too, they are also doing the best that they can. And even the diplomatic communities, they are also doing the best they can, so that this election 2023 would be very peaceful and a success.
Okay. Let's talk about the challenges broadcast media are facing. So, what do you think some of the challenges are?
I think I would say part of the challenge is I think funding. is a major challenge. In every organization, I mean, funding is key. And some challenge too that the broadcasting industry is also facing is the challenge of some of the politicians who would somehow buy over some broadcasting organization, and whatever news they release is just they want everything to just be in favor of that particular organization. So when any other organization would just want to come to, maybe it could be to air their promo, they play down, but the one that have maybe bought them over, they are always on news with that. So it's a challenge too. I think there should be fair level, there should be fair play, because it's one Nigeria. And I would also want to say too that one challenge also too I see in the broadcasting industry is some of the broadcasting organization, they lack the manpower. Skilled manpower. We have in the advanced countries, there are some kind of it could be training. They should, as broadcasters, they should have some kind of the world is evolving, there is dynamism everywhere. As a broadcaster, we should always be run with the advancement of technology that is happening presently in the world. Now we are talking about artificial intelligence. There are a whole lot of things in the broadcasting industry that we must run with. So these are also a challenge. So we should ensure that our broadcasters are trained, and there are some skills that must be acquired to make for effective broadcasting.
Okay, so what is the role of citizens and civil society in promoting the use of broadcast media for peace and conflict resolution?
Okay, our organization now as a social, organization, an NGO, we have today anchored the World Radio Day. In our own little way, we have some schools that a particular school that came on the broadcast that we had with the radio. The children, they have been able to see what important role that broadcasting would play in ensuring peace. Some of them, they were brought on air and they spoke, and I think it was so interesting to note that a number of them were even interested in picking broadcasting as a career. So for civil organization, we should ensure that whatever program that we run should be in promoting the broadcasting industry.
Okay, that's a very, very good one, because we have to bring up the kids for them to know what is obtainable in the world of broadcast.
That's beautiful.
Yes. So, how has the impact of broadcast media on promoting peace? We know that has evolved over the years. So, what do you see in the future of broadcast media?
Well, in the future, we are already feeling it at the moment. Everything is going more digital. In 2002, if I'm not mistaken, around that time, I happened to consult for an organization, World Space. That's the name of the organization.
Okay.
World Space. I consulted for them. It is an organization from the US, and the inventor by name Noah Samara. an Ethiopian American. They came up with a device. It's a radio that were in 4 different types. We have the JVC, we have the Panasonic, we have the Hitachi, we have the Sony, and all of these types of radio. In the radio, you can get whatever news all over the world. You have CNN audio in that radio. You have BBC audio in that radio. You have rock music that will play for 24 hours. You have just a wonderful device. And we did the launch of it. That was over 2 decades ago. But it's unfortunate that we weren't able to manage that technology very well in Nigeria, because it got to a very wrong hand, let me put it that way. And that was just 2 decades ago. Now we can see that the digital evolution. So in broadcasting, it will not stop there. It will still evolve. Over the years, in the future, we will still have, inventions. So that was why I mentioned the issue of training,
Yes.
so that we will catch up with the technology, because the technology is not waiting, it's going,
Yes.
it's moving. So that is what I will have to say about that.
All right, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. But before we let you go, do you have any final words for broadcast media? Anything you feel broadcast media should do, or something you feel they should reduce?
Well, it's just, I think I would want to say this, that if I'm opportune, I would also love to be a broadcaster, but I'm not. So if I would speak on what they should do and what they should not do, I would just advise, please, in the broadcasting industry, let us make statements, pass on informations that will promote peace. Because in the UNESCO organization, all we are known for is promoting the culture of peace. So if there is what that the broadcasting industry will do, is to promote peace. And if there is what they shouldn't do, is that they shouldn't get into information that will mar our corporate existence.
That's a very strong one there.
Thank you so much.
So thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure having you speak about broadcast media.
Thank you, Vena.
All right, so that's all we can take on the show. We've been speaking with Ambassador Emmanuel Ejiogu, a president of Youth Orientation Development, a UNESCO NGO. I'll see you next week, same time, same station. I remain Vina Peters. Bye for now.
Thank you.